Okay, you have already an idea what is ECG or what is electrocardiography because in your day-to-day life, sometimes you have to come across this ECG either for yourself or for your parents or for your grandparents. So everybody know what is ECG. ECG is electrocardiography or electrocardiogram. The paper that you are seeing here is known as electrocardiography, and the entire procedure is known by the name electrocardiography. It's simply one is paper, record is known as electrocardiogram, and the procedure is known as electrocardiography. And we have to understand what is electrocardiography and what is the importance of electrocardiography. It is a process of recording the electrical activity of the heart over a period using electrodes placed on a patient's body. That is the definition of an electrocardiography. So how we are doing this, we have to understand that. So basically, every organ in the human body is producing some kind of electrical activity, and it is possible to measure this electrical activity by using high sensitive electrodes. That is what we are using in the use of ECG. So just like the electrodes that you are using in your chemistry lab or in your physics lab, we are also using the same electrode, but they are more sensitive. They can even pick up the very tiny, very small scale electrical current that is produced by different organs and tissues in our body. So that is the basic principle on which the ECGs work. We are picking up electrical activity that is produced by the heart. And one important feature of this electrical activity is that based on the working of the heart, there will be a variation or difference in this electrical signals or electrical activity given by the heart. So based on that, we will be getting a graph, and we will come to that. So basically, these electrodes in our electrodes placed on your chest and different parts of your body will be picking up this very tiny electrical activity released from the heart or released from the heart muscle during the depolarization or during the mainly during the contraction of the heart. And normally in a electrical ECG measurement, there will be 12 lead electrodes. There are 12 in a conventional 12 lead electrodes. 10 electrodes are placed on the patient's limb and on the surface of the body. Here you can see that on the surface of the chest, on your arms, etc. Different altogether 10 electrodes will be placed, and these electrodes will be measuring the electrical activity coming from or detected from different parts of the body. So that is how they are measuring it. So there will be up to 10 electrons normally, and the overall magnitude of heart's electrical potential is then measured from 12 different angles. That is why it is not 12 lead ECG. From 12 different angles, the electrical potential or electrical current will be measured. That is why we call it as 12 lead ECG. And it is usually recorded for a period of time. Normal time is, here it is mentioned that is 10 seconds. So for a period of 10 seconds, the instrument will be measuring the ECG. But it is a continuous process. During every 10 seconds, it will be measuring what is the status at that time. So that is how it is. The ECG machine or ECG apparatus will be measuring the electrical activity. Then the overall magnitude and direction of the heart electrical depolarization is captured at each moment throughout the cardiac cycle. What is a cardiac cycle? One contraction and one relaxation constitute a cardiac cycle. So during one cardiac cycle or during one contraction and relaxation of the heart, what is happening to the electrical voltage or electrical current produced from your heart muscle? That is what is measured during the ECG. The graph of the voltage versus time produced by this non-invasive. Non-invasive means, for example, if you are putting a syringe into your body, it is an invasive procedure. You are penetrating something into your body. But here you are not inserting anything into the body. It's that is why it is a non-invasive, not introducing, not inserting anything into the body. We are only keeping it on outside the surface of the body. That and as a result, you are getting a graph. This graph is what we call by the name electrocardiogram. So technically, electrocardiogram is what is used by medical professionals or doctors for diagnosing different types of heart-related diseases. Then here you can say during each heartbeat, the healthy heart will be having orderly progression of depolarization. That is depolarization. You might have learned that it is during the contraction of muscle there will be an event called depolarization. There, that depolarization is passing in, is moving in a wave-like pattern normally. So it normally starts at the pacemaker cells in the sinoatrial node. Here I can show you. Here there is a node called sinoatrial node, and usually this sinoatrial node is at placed on the on the upper portion of the right auricle or right atrium. And similarly, there is also another node called auriculoventricular node. This is the second node that is placed at the lower portion, or to be more precise, at the junction between right auricle and right ventricle. So that is how the position of two important pacemakers, and they are called as pacemakers because they are producing the current. Actually, pacemaker is like a battery. That battery or pacemaker, the cells in the pacemaker will be producing an electric current. That electric current will be passing from sinoatrial node and will be spreading out through the atrium. Atrium means auricle. So here you can see that this sinoatrial node is producing an electric current, and that will be slowly coming to the next pacemaker, that is the auriculoventricular node, that is the AV node. So in our body basically we have two different types of pacemaker. One is SA node, other is AV node. So SA node is the primary pacemaker. AV node is actually an amplifier. It captures the electrical current coming from SA node and will be amplifying it, and again releasing it to the different parts of the body. So SA node produces the primary current. That primary current will be reaching the AV node or auriculoventricular node. From the AV node, you can see that AV node will be transmitting this current through a system of nerve fibers, and that nerve fibers is known as a bundle of His. This nerve fibers is known as the bundle of His, and here you can see that through the bundle of His. See here, this is the bundle of His, and through Purkinje fibers, this electrical current will be transmitted to different parts of the ventricle. Here you can, this is the AV node, and then there is a wiring, or there is a nerve connection. Through this nerve connection, this electrical activity or electrical messages will be reaching the different parts of the ventricle. So this is how the normal procedure of transmission of electrical message is taking place in the heart, and there is an orderly, and this is always taking place in an orderly pattern, and the ECG is measuring this orderly pattern, and that is always taking in an orderly pattern, and ECG will be measuring that normal system, how it is going from heart. Now what we have to understand is that in an ECG we have three important waves are there. One is P wave, second is QRX wave, and third is the T wave. I will show you that here. So if you come here, there is three important waves. The first wave, this is the electrical activity producing during a 10-second period. During every 10-second period, this graph will be repeated. This is during the first 10 seconds, during the next 10 seconds, and again during the next second. So every 10-second period, there will be a repetition of this PQRST graph. Then what is P? P actually stands for the electrical activity that this graph P will be produced during the first contraction, that is atrial depolarization. So during the contraction of the auricle, or during an atrial contraction, or during the depolarization of muscles in the auricle, the P wave will be produced. So P wave will be followed by the next wave. What is the next wave? That is the QRS wave. And QRS waves will be taking place during the ventricular depolarization. That means it is during the contraction of the ventricle we are getting the second wave. That second wave is known as the QRS. So this is a small wave. This is the highest wave, QRS, and that will be taking place during the contraction of the ventricle. Now comes the third wave. The third wave is the T wave. T wave will be taking place during the relaxation of the ventricle, or ventricular repolarization. So that is how three different types of waves are occurring. So one is during the contraction of auricle, second is during the contraction of ventricle, and during the relaxation of the ventricle. So this is a PQRST. So ECG is simply a repetition of PQRST wave or PQRST curve during every 10 seconds. Now what is the importance of all this? See, here there are different things are, you can see that there is height of the P wave, height of the QRS wave, height of the T wave. Now for I will tell you an example. You are taking the ECG of a person. The ECG of a normal person is like this. But when you take the ECG of that person, you cannot see this P wave. This is the P wave. You are not seeing the P wave. What is the meaning of that? What is the P wave indicates? P wave indicates that P wave is normally developing during the contraction of the auricle. So if there is no P wave in that person, that indicates that there is something wrong with the contraction of the auricle in him or in her. So that is the meaning of the word P wave. Then what if the T wave is not properly represented? The height of the T wave is less. Then it means that relaxation of the ventricle is not complete. So if the relaxation of the ventricle is not taking place properly, the height of the T wave will be smaller. And if this QRS wave is smaller, that means that the contraction of the ventricle is not proper. So by simply looking at this graph, doctors can tell whether everything is working normally in a heart. So similarly, there are other parameters like a PR interval, the time taken from this point to this point. Other is PR segment, then QT interval, then ST interval, then the width of the QRS. All these are important. That will be showing in the different conditions of the heart. So ECG can be used to measure the rate and rhythm of the heartbeat. That is the primary function of the ECG. And second is that the size and position of the heart chamber. How big your heart is that, and how the position of what is the position of the chambers of the heart. And another function of the ECG is that it will be able to dictate any damage to the heart muscle cell or to the conducting system. That is, if there is any problem with this conducting system, it can be easily indicated by the ECG. Sometimes you might have heard that some of your relatives say that they have a pacemaker inside their body. Why they are keeping a pacemaker? Because normally this is the SA node is producing the electrical current. Sometimes what happens is the SA node is not producing sufficient electrical current. The strength of the electrical current may not be high, or it will be a very weak current, and that weak current may not be able to transfer properly from the auricle up to the end of the ventricle, and in that case the heart won't be contracting properly. Then, and what doctors will do? The doctors will keep a battery operated device here. and that battery operated device will be releasing they will be they will be what they are normally doing is that they will insert the pacemaker on your shoulder, and there will be wire from that shoulder device, and it will be connected with this SA node. So every 10 seconds this external device, or which is usually placed inside your skin, will be releasing a small electrical current. That electrical current will be triggering the contraction of the heart. So that is how it is working properly, and the length of that pacemaker is very long, usually 5 years or 10 years it can work without any kind of maintenance. So it's a very long battery also it has a. So that is how it is working. So that device is known as a pacemaker. So pacemaker is an external device that can replace the function of the SA node as well as AV node. So that is the importance of the pacemaker, and normally pacemakers are fitted in the heart when the normal function of the pacemaker is lost. And similarly, you can also measure the effect of cardiac drugs. And now, if there is any problem with your heart because of the because you are taking some drugs related with heart, or then that their function, their performance can all be measured using the ECG. And similarly, implanted pacemaker, that's what I was discussing earlier. Implanted pacemaker are external pacemaker which are usually placed outside inside your skin, but not in the heart muscle. It is usually placed on the shoulder portion, and using a wire it will be connected to the heart chamber. And how this external pacemakers are working properly, all this can be measured using this pacemaker. So using this ECG. So that is why ECG is a very useful technique, because it is very cheap also. You don't need any sophisticated instrument also for ECG. It is a very cost-effective technique, and I think an ECG will be costing only 250 rupees or 300 rupees only in most of the hospital. So using this technique, it will be conveying lot of information about your heart.